Hello everyone. I hope you're staying home and keeping safe. Today, we will be dealing with the second chapter from your NCERT textbook, Flamingo. The chapter, Lost Spring, is written by eminent journalist Jung and deals with several pertinent issues faced by the world around us. It is an account of Jung's journeys as a social worker, where she narrates the lives of two children from two different cities, leading almost identical lives owing to the social circumstances. This is the second half of a part series on the chapter. If you haven't gone through the first part, I would suggest you do the same and follow it up with this one. In the previous part, we had already discussed the metaphor, the symbolic meaning behind the title of the chapter. Lost Spring conveys how millions of children in India, ones like Sahib, Mukesh and Savita, lose out on living the spring of their lives. That is, their childhood. The burden of earning a livelihood is pressed down upon them so early in life that the best phase of their lives are lost toiling away. Poverty forces these young children to work in the most inhumane of conditions, as a result of which they miss out on the fun of childhood, which hampers their growth. Let us continue from where we left off with the previous story, a tale of migrant squatters and ragpickers in Delhi's Simapuri. The story ended with how Sahib had lost his freedom and was no longer his own master. In contrast to him, the second story, called I Want to Drive a Car, tells us the account of another young boy, Mukesh, who wants to be his own master. The narrative is set in the busy town of Firozabad in the state of Uttar Pradesh, the center of India's glass-blowing industry, the land which produces bangles of all hues possible for married women across the land. Before we go any further, let us travel for a bit to Firozabad.
मेन इंडस्ट्री जो है बैंगल्स का ही है। बैंगल्स के बाद यहाँ ग्लास शुरू हुआ है। पहले यहाँ से फिरोजाबाद सिर्फ सेल करने के लिए आया करती थी बैंगल।
अरे पिताजी करते थे पहले ये काम। पिताजी के एक्सपायर होने के बाद में ये काम हमने किया है।
हमारे बाप दादा और बाप दादे काफी अरसे चल रहा है बड़ी काम तो।
काम 8 साल की उम्र से कर रहे हैं। जब सीख गए तो आदत बन गई है, क्या करते हैं। पहले डर लगता था, अब नहीं लगता।
हमको खुद नहीं मालूम कि हम कितने साल के थे, बहुत छोटे थे, काफी छोटे थे। आज हमको कम से कम ये समझ लो, आज हमें काम इस गर्म काम में घुसे हुए आज कम से कम हमें 35 साल करीब हो गए।
तो प्रॉब्लम तो होता ही है, थोड़ा सा गर्मी है उस वजह से।
सेफ्टी के लिए यहाँ कुछ भी नहीं है। सेफ्टी के लिए अगर हाथ कट भी जाता है तो ये सुतलियाँ हैं, सुतलियाँ इनको निकाल लीजिए और यूँ करके बांध लीजिए। खून रुक जाएगा कुछ देर के लिए, फिर फेंक दीजिए। यही पट्टी है यहाँ पर।
यहाँ तो जलते ही रहते हैं, जलना ही काम है। ये काम ऐसा है कि यहाँ कोई किसी का वो नहीं है। आज आ गया कल तो कल दूसरा आ जाएगा। आज मैंने कर लिया कल दूसरा कर गया। परसों कोई और कर गया।
छुट्टी वगैरह पड़ती है, रजिस्टर्ड छुट्टी पड़ती है, त्योहार वगैरह, इतवार वगैरह, संडे वगैरह, इसके कोई पैसा नहीं मिलता हम लोगों को।
आफ्टर 15 आवर्स वर्किंग स्टार्ट हो जाती है। भट्टी में जब कांच मेल्ट हो जाता है तो उसको हम लोग लोहे की लबियों से, बड़ी बड़ी लबियाँ होती हैं, उससे हम लोग निकालते हैं। लॉम बेलन पे जाती है, उसके बाद उसमें चूड़ी बन जाती है। चूड़ी स्प्रिंग टाइप की चूड़ी बन जाती है। कई तरीके के वर्क्स होते हैं चूड़ी के ऊपर। कुछ जरी का काम करते हैं, कुछ हिल का काम करते हैं, कुछ पॉलिश का काम करते हैं, कुछ लोग ऐसे ही प्लेन भी बेचते हैं। जुड़ने के बाद प्लेन चूड़ी भी बिकती है।
Like we discussed earlier, the story primarily deals with this young boy, Mukesh, born in abject poverty. Like every other person in Firozabad, he hails from a family of bangle makers who have been engaged in a profession for generations. His family consists of his aged grandparents, his father, his brother, and his sister-in-law, all living in a cramped, half-built hutment. Mukesh's father, a man who worked almost every waking hour of his life, has barely been able to keep his family alive and couldn't send his sons to school or provide them with a solid roof above their head. All he could provide them with is the only skill he had, that of bangle making. For the young children in Firozabad, life as a bangle maker starts so early that most of them can hardly remember the age when they started working at the factories. The idea of following the family traditions and occupation is so ingrained in them that their desire to dream and dare is snubbed early in their childhood itself. It's only Mukesh who dares to have a dream which is different from the rest of his families. His eyes are filled with dreams of changing his circumstances and becoming a motor mechanic and driving a car. All the members of Mukesh's family and those around him have accepted their situation as their destiny and fate. They believe it is their karam, the destiny that binds them to the caste that they are born in. They have accepted that since their forefathers were bangle makers and lived in poverty, their lives too will follow the same path. They accept the profession as a lineage that they should follow. Most of them do not even know that it is illegal to employ children for the industrial work. These people are trapped in an endless cycle of poverty they find almost impossible to break out of. When the author asks them why they haven't formed cooperatives, she is informed of the oppression these people face at every step. The backbreaking work hardly leaves them with the time or energy to form any labor unions to protest the inhuman working conditions. Even when they do, they are taken to jail by the police. The collective corruption of the local sahukars, middlemen, business owners, and politicians make it practically impossible for them to even dream of breaking free from the miseries of the lives they are born in. The bangle making industry of Firozabad, which mostly employs young children, is filled with dangers. These children work for very long hours in dark rooms sitting next to hot furnaces, welding glass. These rooms do not have proper light or fresh air, causing several health problems for these young children. Breathing the poisonous fumes that come out of the process and the shortage of fresh air often leads to acute respiratory diseases. The dust produced from the glass blowing process often enter the eyes of the children as they work without masks or safety goggles. Working in the dark cells for very long hours makes these children's eyes uncomfortable when they face bright light, often turning them blind by the time they become adults. A collective impact of all these hazards and a lack of educational opportunities render them incapable of securing any job later in life. Child labor doesn't just impact one child or one family. It can halt the progress of an entire nation. Children are the most vulnerable sections in any society. In a country like India, where more than 50% of its population is younger than 25 years of age, it becomes absolutely essential that we protect the rights of this group and ensure they are provided with the resources to enable themselves to have a fulfilled and constructive life. The means to break this loop of poverty is by providing quality education to these children and giving them the fair opportunity to rise above their situations. Better education will ensure they are capable of securing more high-paying jobs and can break the shackles of poverty they were born in. Better jobs will help them get better food and health care, ensuring that the next generation has better resources and is capable of having a better life. More people from the government and social workers need to pay attention to the conditions of these people and spread awareness amongst them about how overpopulation can limit the quality of living for per person. More members in a family does not necessarily equate to more earning hands. These people need to understand their rights and claim healthcare benefits and security equipment to keep themselves safe in the workplace. The government is doing its part in ensuring that the rights of children are protected with laws and schemes like the Right to Education Act, Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act, and the midday meal programs. It then ultimately boils down to us, who are now entrusted with the duty to ensure these rights are protected and the laws are obeyed. Do most of us understand the idea of privilege? Look around and see how absolutely lucky we are to have a secure roof above our heads, a safe environment to live in, food to fill ourselves with every single day. Let us understand how, while the world faces a pandemic, battles a deadly disease, people like us have the choice and the luxury to stay back at home to keep ourselves safe. Unfortunately, there are thousands of others who are left jobless and without any means to keep themselves alive or even safe. Does it not then come down to us, the ones who have the means to make a difference, to uplift those who are not born with the privileges that we have, to make the world a better place? I would like you to take a few minutes and think about the questions that you see on the screen, and then send your comments and responses to your teachers. With that, we come to the end of the chapter. We would love to have your feedback and opinions on the topics discussed. This video was made in collaboration by M. Reshmi Irani and Swarnali Das. Thank you.